Alongside Adam Hill.
You guys are a bunch of jerks, and you can't handle it.
That guy.
Blame you for not being a freaking adult about things.
Don't give a what that guy thinks, what he has to say, or what he writes.
Now, here's Steve Cofield.
Don't give a
Seems to be a recurring theme there. Ari's here, Cofield, Adam Hill. Big Five is on the way. We're going to check in with the NBA expert in about a half an hour on what the latest is with the NBA possibly landing in Las Vegas. It looks like both leagues, the NHL and the NBA, are very interested in splitting up their return tournament, end of the season, games that they put together, and Vegas is very much in the mix.
Battle-born injury lawyers presents the Big Five at 5. Number 5.
I've seen the inside of your car, and I know what the inside of my car looks like. They're both big size. We carry around a lot of stuff. There's junk everywhere. I don't know what's buried in the car at different points. I saw the number one trending story on your website, the RJ website, was a story, I think, out of Wisconsin, which maybe it's old, but they were talking about sanitizer, which everyone's carrying around, all the sanitizer now because of the coronavirus, that is the last thing you want to leave in your car. And it didn't mention Vegas, but think about Vegas, and we're talking about you don't want to leave it in your car because of the heat. Yeah. It's got alcohol in there, and they actually showed a picture of a car that I guess looked like someone left it in the driver's side door, a little cubby, and the thing just caught fire, like ripped up the door.
That sounds suboptimal.
Now, I am such a procrastinator. I will probably remember to do this at like July 30th.
To take the sanitizer out?
Every day I'll think about it. I'm like, did I take it out? And then but I'm also ADHD, so it's like 100 miles an hour. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it. And I see something else. I'm like, I got to do that.
Keep it in your bag instead of your sanitizer, and then it goes in the building with you or in the house.
Does your bag always come out of your car?
Yeah. Now, after it got robbed twice, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, I've been robbed twice, and I still leave the bag in the car. So I'm a glutton for punishment.
Fair enough. I think I told the story that my bag got stolen out of my car, broke the window, took my bag out, left in my driveway. And then I got a new bag, but I hadn't got a new computer yet.
That's right.
And then they broke the window and took the bag again. But there was no computer.
Your window broken twice?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
How easy was that? Driver's side?
Driver's side, back seat.
How easy was that to replace?
Not. I mean, you just go to the place and it's not cheap, but it's easy.
That's a pain in the ass.
It's easy, but it's not cheap.
All right. Well, I don't know what's worse. Maybe you're just better off letting your door get blown off and have all your materials stolen repeatedly. But you say now you bring in the bag every time.
Yeah, every time.
I think I can manage this. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
Trying to set my car on fire.
Smart.
Number 4.
I need like a life coach. The guy in my ear just telling me like, hey, don't forget. You just talked about this. Do the right thing. But I want someone who's got some comedic stylings, right? Like make it fun. Like I think Nick Saban on your shoulder all the time would be just great.
Hey, big Al, you need to be staying 6 feet away from me. And haven't I told you you have to wear a mask when you're in this building? All of us want to make sure we play football this fall. And to make that happen, we must be sure we stay at home if we have symptoms, wash your hands often, follow all social distancing guidelines, and please wear a mask anytime you're around other people.
Okay. Nick Saban, Alabama coach. Did you examine this very closely? You know who Al is?
He's the mascot.
So he's the big elephant.
Yeah. It's tough to find a mask.
Right.
If you've got a trunk.
Yes.
Yeah. It's difficult.
Did you see when they put the mask on? You didn't watch it, did you?
I watched the video. I was at the very end.
All right. Did you watch the very end of it? Did they tuck the trunk in? Because if the trunk is hanging, then it's not really covered.
I never thought he actually put the mask
he has a giant mask on.
Okay. But listen, I get it. It is a little bit more difficult if you have to get it custom made. Because we talk about masks all the time. That's tough. And then here's the other thing. I've been labeled an anti-masker because I lecture people on the proper ways to use the mask. You're not supposed to actually touch your mask ever. It's going to be real tough to wear the mask if you're an elephant without touching it. Like there's a lot of organizing of the trunk you have to do to make sure it gets tucked in.
What do you think of Saban's performance? See, for me, I always pair Saban and Belichick, and I think Saban's like he's better than Belichick,
Yeah.
so that's the measuring stick. So he's not bad compared to
So
Belichick.
you're grading on a curve, and you're saying on the curve he's doing just fine because he's better than Belichick. Listen, I think the message is really good. So I think you just have to give him extra credit for that too. Like Saban is speaking my language of like, yeah, we get it. You guys don't want to go out, but you don't want to follow the procedures. Like, do you want to go out or not? Do you want to have football or not? And if you do the right things, and then you'll be able to have it.
Do you think he was doing this for effect? Hey, it's a good PSA to do, or is he really thinking like, hey, if people here don't wear a mask and the state explodes with coronavirus cases, we're screwed?
I think it's that one.
I don't.
You don't?
Nah. I have no idea, but I mean, I think he's been handed a PSA, and it's a good message to send out there. But I don't know. I don't know what people. I don't know how people think. I don't know where they are right now. If they think, hey, with the warm weather, especially in the South, that it's not going to be an issue and there's no risk. But I mean, it's. I would think if Alabama had a massive explosion, that would legitimately put Bama football in jeopardy.
Sure, and I think he did one in March too. I think it's. I mean, I think there is a bit. I guess it could be both those things, but I think there is a bit of a self-serving nature to it of like, hey, let's get this taken care of in Alabama, so that we don't have to worry about what everybody else has to worry about. Now, I think it's a long shot that you have full stadiums anyway, but I think there is an element of like, hey, let's do whatever we can to get this thing under control so we can actually play our games.
Number 3.
Explain to the audience the rule, again, that they're considering in the NFL, which is this 4th and 15 rule. Instead of an onside kick, you're 4th and 15 at your own 25.
Yeah. And so if you don't get it, if you don't pick up a first down, the other team gets the ball wherever. So you could go for it on 4th and 15. You get sacked. The other team might take over at the 15-yard line.
Right.
Like there's some danger there.
Mike DeCourcy, who covers college basketball, said those who truly understand sports, because you like this, right?
I do.
Those who truly understand sports are aware that the NBA timeout rule is the worst rule in sports. If the NFL goes to 4th and 15 rule to replace the onside kick, that'll be worse.
I actually don't think the timeout rule is the worst thing.
When I saw this, I was like, I don't think it's terrible.
I don't.
The timeout rule basically it allows you to advance,
right?
And then you can, you're inbounding from the baseline. You get a timeout, then all of a sudden you're inbounding at midcourt.
It keeps games close to the very end.
Right. It gives a better shot. You can lop off whatever, a second and a half to get an opportunity at a quality final shot.
So I get.
Does that cheapen the game? Have you ever thought it cheapens the game?
A little bit.
Okay.
But and college doesn't have it, and I much prefer college basketball. So I guess to that extent.
Right.
I think that when you make rules that let the team that's behind have a better chance to win, it's probably not the best rule.
But to your point, in the past, they already do that without a rule.
Of course.
In football, how do they do that?
By the referees deciding to play at their own pace.
Yep.
Where like if the team's behind, all of a sudden they're spotting the ball at warp speed.
Yeah.
Like what is that about?
Well, now we've got referees who are like softball pitchers, like fast pitch softball pitchers, who are like, like whipping the football at each other from like 40 yards away. You're like, wait, how come there wasn't this pace?
Yeah.
In the first quarter.
Look, I'm the Chiefs.
Now we're running up to the line, putting the ball down.
Yeah, I'm the Chiefs. I want you to do that pace from the very beginning of the game. I'm going to go no huddle offense. I want you sprinting every play to spot that ball, and they won't do it.
Or you notice they'll require patience in terms of the clock, getting the ball down, and holding the clock.
Yeah.
Like you'll see the guy stand over the ball. He's like, hold on, hold on, clock keeper. Right, it's down, go.
Hey, you don't see that at the end of games.
Well, you see that at the end. See it at the end of games. You don't see it during the game.
I think earlier in the games you do see. Either way, you don't see the same sense of urgency from referees early in the game as you do late, which I think is completely preposterous. You should be consistent all throughout. But yeah, all those things. Now, I did hear one caveat to this rule, which does change things a little bit. So I was thinking some teams, I might just start going. I'm just going every time. Draw some interferences, do whatever you got to do. Apparently, part of this rule is that you can only do it twice a game, which I don't know how much. Like, if you're down, say you're down 28 in the fourth quarter, you can't just score, go for it, score, go for it, score, go for it.
Because you said the other day it was what, like make it take it?
Yeah, to make it take it.
in basketball.
Big comeback.
Yeah.
Which could absolutely, like, you think of the Bills Oilers comeback of 35-3, like, wow, what an amazing comeback. Like, you might start to see that more. If a team gets in an offensive rhythm and you just can't stop them, you might get to see some massive comebacks. But apparently part of the rule is you can only do it twice a game, which does change it just a little bit. I think this seems to be building a little bit of momentum. We'll see if it actually passes. I would like to see it, and I know I saw a lot of people breaking down some stats today of how many teams are successful on like 3rd and 4th and 15 plays.
Aren't the Raiders stats just abysmal?
Abysmal.
How bad?
I thought it was back. I would have to go look it up again. It was just really bad. And then somebody I know.
I have the numbers. Raiders are 10 for 113 on 3rd and 15 the past 6 seasons. That's 8.8%. They are 1 for 34 on fourth quarter onside kicks since 2000. 1 for 34. I mean, based on that number,
that means there's a better
4th and 15 is the only option. Onside kick is not an option.
Yeah, onside kicks is just a worse than a Hail Mary.
Yep.
But then the Chiefs, I saw some debate on this. On exactly 15 yards to go, I don't think the Chiefs have been successful in the last couple of years. But more than 15 yards, they've actually had some pretty good success.
Really?
So it's how you break down the numbers that really matters.
Number 2.
NBA could be coming here. Could be a 2-city bubble system. Disney World in Orlando and Las Vegas. James Harden was on CNBC. Right? And I thought Andy Cohen was the guy breaking all the sports news on his satellite show and on Bravo. Harden said about the return, I wanted to be safe. Boo!
Wimp.
Jordan would have never wanted it to be safe. He just wanted to play. I'm kidding. I wanted to be safe. I want it to be entertaining for the fans and players to get out there and compete. All right, well, there's not going to be fans, so entertaining on TV. He said, as soon as we get this ramped up, I'm ready to go. I feel like the majority of the players feel the same way. So that's good to hear. That's good to hear. James Harden could pass on this whole thing because he's one of those players that is filthy, filthy rich. Oh, he makes a lot of money, but he's got good endorsements, and he's apparently made really smart investments. The reason he was on CNBC, aside from the NBA talk, was to point out that Body Armor, one of these sports drinks, is rolling out its most expensive ad campaign this weekend around the celebrity golf deal.
Okay.
They're going to spend $20 million on this latest campaign. Now, remember, this was a startup company less than 5 years ago. Kobe Bryant, we played some audio earlier, was on CNBC in 2018 saying, we've got a bunch of athletes invested in this. We really have to pay attention and kind of treat this like we treat sports. Well, this thing has grown massively. They got a buy-in from Coke. I think Coke owns like 10% of Body Armor now. Ready for this one? Harden, Kobe reached out to him. Harden made an investment of $6 million. It's now valued at $200 million.
Just his share?
Yep.
Wow. It's a good investment.
Right?
It's a real good investment.
And that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, hey, some of these guys, they make so much money. Like, if it's not safe and you make $75, $100, $125 million a year, now this is a valuation, but if you're making that much money, you don't have to come back. The NBA's got to get it right. This is not a desperate situation for a guy like James Harden.
Yeah, but I do wonder what that does to your contract.
All right.
Like, there's got to be some kind of language, like if you just decide not to play.
Right. I don't think he's going to decide not to play, but I think there are certain players who can push even harder for super stringent safety standards. But I was going down this rabbit hole of the whole sports drink and energy drink. And that 50 Cent also invested in
water.
Yeah, do you know this?
Oh, yeah.
So Coke bought Vitamin Water, which I don't know who Vitamin Water was owned by, like Glacio or something, is that how you say Glacio? I've seen high estimates of what he made. I guess I'll say this is a low estimate because it's lower than the high one. 50 Cent made $60 to $100 million off that Vitamin Water investment.
Yeah. Wow. So, are you thinking of inventing a drink?
No, I'm impressed. Like, that's awesome. It's great. But I think we know there's a lot of singers and athletes who haven't done the right thing, haven't nailed it with their money.
And that investment could have easily gone that same way.
Yeah.
Been worth
it didn't.
Been worth nothing, but it didn't.
And Hey, rest in peace, Kobe. He set up his family for life with his current riches, but my God, body armor alone. And they're set for generations.
That is generation changing money. There's no question about it. Not that he didn't have it anyway, but yeah, wise investments from athletes can really, really pay off, and from anyone. But we've seen a lot of this. We've also seen, as you said, if you go wrong, invest in the wrong things, or get involved with like friends trying to come up with goofy companies, things like that. But I like to say
sports
when it
drinks
works out.
over restaurants.
Probably
You don't need to have your own celebrity restaurant.
probably about right.
It's a tough biz.
Number 1.
All right, what's the biggest thing for Vegas to get a double dip of the NHL? What's the biggest thing they got to work out? Because they can be part of it. They can be one of the hubs of the 12 team, like sectional, right? There's going to be 2 sites in the NHL, and they're very much in the running for the Final Four of the NHL. Your guy Dave Shane at the paper said the proximity to ice is one of the biggest things that I guess we would have to overcome and make sure that we can do it seamlessly.
Yeah,
As
and
opposed to other cities competing with us, like Minneapolis, like Columbus, like Toronto, like Edmonton.
And that's what I was told by some people in the NHL, that the biggest concern, while Vegas is always their number one option because everybody wants to come to Vegas, the proximity of ice and number of sheets and accessibility of them was the biggest hindrance. No question about it. And it's why we were originally the front runner for the Final Four, because it would be easy to just have that happen at T-Mobile. And you'd only need one hotel, one set of ice, one sheet of ice, and you would just go out and play the games. Why the pod wouldn't necessarily work, because you'd have to travel all over the city in order to find enough sheets to make not only the games, because think about how many games are going to be going on, but also practices. Like all of these things that are going to have to happen, it would just make a lot more sense in terms of having more proximity. And that's when Edmonton was discussed. Their thing was, you not only have the hotel, the arena, the practice sheets of ice, and other rinks right in that same block, but they could all just keep the equipment there. The equipment wouldn't have to travel. So the concerns about the sanitized equipment and making sure everything was was healthy and ready to move around, like it would all just be in one spot. It would never move. And if you're in Vegas, you got to take your equipment to City National, maybe another team's at another place. And if you're playing a game against somebody else that's at a different venue, you'd have to move it around. In some of these other cities, it would just stay in one place. But again, it seems like at least some of the partners of the NHL, mainly TV partners, are like, yeah, we need a U.S. city. Can't all be in Canada.
Do we like this format? It's a 24-team format with 12 teams in each pod. Is 24 teams, is it necessary?
Yeah, because some teams were in position to make a run to try to make the playoffs. It's essentially including every team that had a mathematical possibility of making the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it is. You can't tell teams like that were a few points out of a playoff spot, sorry. You don't get your chance to finish. I mean, I guess you could. But I think this is equitable for everyone in terms of if you had a chance to rally into a playoff position, you should be able to get that chance.
I saw some people complaining that maybe some teams that are pretty freaking lousy.
Yeah, but if they were in it,
yeah,
you weren't eliminated.
Within hailing distance.
Yeah,
you can't just. I guess you can't just cross them off, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, other cities include Columbus, Toronto. I didn't mention Dallas, Minnesota. Family's going to be around.
I think that's still kind of being worked out.
Is that one of the sticking points, that the players want their families here?
That's one of the discussions.
That hurt us?
I don't know. I don't know if it's any different no matter where you go.
You don't think it's more wholesome, family-friendly in Edmonton?
No, I mean, by the way, Edmonton, you'd be staying at a casino also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a casino, a hotel, and an arena, and a practice facility all in one block. So you'd be staying at a casino there.
It's the Big 5 at 5, brought to you by Battle-Born Injury Lawyers. If you've been injured, call Justin Watkins at Battle-Born Injury